Welcome everybody to the All Pro Podcast. I'm your host Jody Coleman. We got a very special guest today, but I got my co-host over there, Stacy the Show Smith. But our very special guest today is Randall, the thrill heel out of the U. What's up, Randall? How you feeling,
Hey, how
man?
you guys doing? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no doubt. I got a couple questions because watching the U the 30 for 30, man. And
hmm
I'm from Ohio. Everybody wanted to be a Cane from up here. Trust me. Everybody, I'm Ohio State guy, but they wanted to be a Cane. Y'all was the culture. Man, can you tell me one of your most memorable stories? Because y'all had so much talent and so much pro talent. Can you tell me one of your most memorable stories at the U?
I mean, there were so many stories that I could tell you. I've been told that I need to write a book about my life and just um, even how I got to the University of Miami. So um, a lot of people don't know, and I don't know if you guys know. I don't know if your listening audience is gonna know and or understand that I never played wide receiver until I got to the University of Miami.
What?
I was an All American defensive back. And this is not necessarily a University of Miami story, but this is the culture of my family. I mean, there's more to me than the dancing and the showboating and stuff like that. But so I was recruited by every Division I college in the United States. You name them, they recruited me. Florida State, Alabama, LSU, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, UCLA, USC, Texas. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I'm not from an impoverished area. I'm not gonna lie. I grew up very privileged, and every day these recruiters would be in front of my front door at my parents' house, and I literally would walk right past them, and I would say, "Hey, you guys talk to my mom, my dad," and then we'll go from there. So I actually had 5 official visits. I visited Florida State, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, and Alabama. And one of my first visits was Florida State. So because of my background, no one really came at me, trying to offer me money because I'm from a family that has decent money. So I take an official visit to Florida State, right? And I get off the plane, and you would walk down, the stairway, and you would be right on the tarmac back in the day. So I get there, and like I said, these schools didn't come at me in a certain, financially. They came at me a little bit more intellectually. So I get off the plane. Who's the first person that meets me? The governor, Bob Graham, a former Senator Bob Graham. Shakes my hand. Hey, Randall Hill. I want you to go to the University of Miami. I'm sorry, I want you to go to Florida State. And I'm looking at him like, okay, this is the damn governor. The next person behind the governor walks up, Bobby Bowden. Whether you like Bobby, whether you don't like Bobby, even players from the University of Miami and the old school rivalries, we respect Bobby Bowden. So Bobby Bowden's there, and he comes up, hey Randall, really wants to come to Florida State. So I shake his hand, and so I'm kind of impressed at this point. The next person like threw me for a loop. Damn, Burt Reynolds. I'm looking like, oh, it's the Bandit. Smokey and the Bandit, right? So I'm like, okay, it's Burt Reynolds. But then, of course, behind Burt Reynolds, Burt Reynolds, hey, wants to go to Florida State. Then behind Burt Reynolds was, of course, Deion Sanders. And
Wow.
Deion's like, come on, man, let's get out of here. We got some things we got to do and discuss. So when I left Florida State after my official visit, I said, you know what? And, it was in the papers, and if you go back and just through some of the periodicals, I I committed to going to Florida State, and I came home and I'm talking to my mom, my dad, and my dad, he never raised his voice. Very stoic person. My dad is very intelligent. He was a high school principal for years. Um, a lot of my school system. I'm sorry, a lot of my family, footnote, pretty much ran the school system back in the day. But anyway, So my dad says to me, he says, son, say if you decide to go to Florida State, that's a good choice. I think we need to go over to your grandparents' house and tell your grandparents where you want to go to school. So I go to my mother and grandfather's house, and and my grandfather looks at me and he says, I hear you decided to go to Florida State, and I said, yes, sir. He says, well, Florida State's a good school, and our family is, on my dad's side, are, from the Tallahassee area, Caps, Monticello. That's where my dad is from, and my grandfather says, that's a good school. That's a good decision. But he said, son, the University of Miami is a good school, and it's right here. And I really want to see you grow up to be a nice young man. I think you need to go to the University of Miami. Yes, sir. I'm going to the University of Miami. That's
Hey,
how I got to the University of Miami. And I think some of the young adults, if they start paying more attention to their parents, start paying more attention to people who have already laid the path for them, I think they'll be well off. Yeah, when I was growing up, I was I played little league like Pop Warner like everybody else, and my dad was my coach. And as a matter of fact, another footnote: at one time, my dad had five guys who he coached little league that were on scholarship at the University of Miami.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so something happened. We were playing a very hard team, and it was like I want to say like 46 seconds left to go in the game, and I intercepted the ball, ran all the way back, and we ended up winning. And we drive home, and my dad gets out the car, and we're gonna walk at the house, and my dad stops me. He looks at me. He says, "Son, let me explain something to you." He says, "I'm gonna make you a promise." And I'm looking at my dad like, "Okay, here we go." One of these speeches, right? But this actually stuck with me. My dad says, he says, he says you have God given ability. He says you're fast, you're quick, you got good hands. He says if you listen to me, if you listen to your mother, you go to school, stay out of trouble, say your prayers. He says, I promise you that in years to come, people from miles and miles and miles around will come and watch you play. Just you. They're going to want to see you play. And that always stuck with me. Um, and I think a lot of the, tomorrow's leaders, some of the current athletes and our future athletes need to take heed to the adults and or the parents. If the parents are not there in the house, I'm sure that there's adults and or coaches that they can turn to, that they can listen to, because our forefathers prayed for better things to come for generations to come, and and we're here. We just have to listen more.
Amen. So
amen.
tell us, I see your high school. Before I go there,
Hmm.
you said your grandparents were from Monticello and all in those areas right there.
Monticello Caps up near the Tallahassee area. Yes. Uh
But
huh.
see, I grew up right there in Live Oak, Florida, 4 time in
Okay.
a row state champions, baby.
Okay.
Just so
Okay.
you know. Just
Okay.
so
Okay.
so you went to Miami Killian, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell the viewers that tell the viewers who might we know that went to your high school, um, not while you were there, but who's been to your high school before?
Well, so two right off the bat that I can think of, actually, yeah, three. So the first one is Evan Cooper. Evan Cooper
Okay.
played in the league for years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I followed his footsteps as a defensive back. Had 11 interceptions in 1 year as a 11th grader.
Wow.
And I'll give you another one that you may or may not know. A guy by the name of Larry Black, gold medalist. Um, Ran back in the day. It was either 4x1 or the 4x4. He attended Miami Killers Senior High School, and then also Tony Gator. Tony Gator went to
Know who that
University
is.
of Miami, and
Yeah.
there's been countless others. The only thing about it is, I mean, I wouldn't be able to name them, but I know that they are because I remember seeing some of the names. But because I'm just not one of those. Listen, I believe in sports. I believe in the camaraderie, the unity, the goal driven aspects of sports. But I'm not the one that follows sports like that. Because I know that there's more to life than sports. Sports are, when you talk about the major groups, football, basketball, baseball, now
Mhm.
soccer,
Mhm.
or they say football. I'm gonna call it kickball, whatever. um, yeah, I think that it gives you discipline. I think it gives you, um, financially, it can give you a jump start on life, but it's a fantasy world. And once you get out of the fantasy world, you gotta get into the real world and do real world activities, and live your life and move forward.
Okay.
Now we talking about the U, and we talking about how did you make that transition from defensive back to one of the best wide receivers in Miami history?
Well, um, so again, I preface the statement I'm getting ready to say now by going back to what I said before. A lot of times, I think that these young athletes need to listen to their coaches, listen to their parents. So when they moved me over to wide receiver, I didn't even know. I had no idea that they were going to do that. Literally one day, Jimmy Johnson looked at me and said, "Hey, go play wide receiver." I'm like, "Okay, if you're an athlete, you're an athlete.
Right.
Period. If you're an athlete, you're an athlete. Go get the job done. Don't tell me about the pain. Just deliver the baby." So, it's if there are any women listening out there, it's jokes, just jokes. But a lot of these guys nowadays, they don't listen. And from my understanding, Jimmy Johnson, I already talked to my dad about it. And at the University of Miami back then, and my same mentality, I don't have time, to sit, pout, cry. Oh, I guess I'm going to go in the transfer for portal since I can't play.
Mm.
Listen, be an athlete. Go play. Go have fun. And that's what it's all about. So there was no, um, like, middle period. There was no time where I had, time to sulk. Literally, I remember I was, getting ready to do something. And, I was going to go to a meeting, and then Jimmy Johnson said, "Hey, go in there with the wide receivers. You're a wide receiver now." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm in there
Wow.
with Brett Perriman, Brian Blaze, and Michael Irvin. Okay,
Oh
this gonna work out.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
man.
but see, now you think about it. A lot of these young players nowadays, oh, I'm just going to transfer. You know what? That's
Yeah.
a coward way out, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I mean, I understand in some situations you want to transfer and do that, but to me that to a certain degree, it's a coward way out. I'm going to take my ball and I'm going to leave it. I'm go the hell out of here, man. You know what? If you're an athlete, go
Right.
play. So
Right.
yeah, I'm looking at Michael. Okay, I can ball too. You know, I'm going to ball too. I can do me. And now I will say that that first year I was a true freshman. And believe it or not, and see, and again, it's sticking to the path that is laid out in front of you. It was 10 of us that did not redshirt. It was 10 of us that got together, and we were true freshmen. And we said, we're going to take over the special teams. I ran back kickoffs, and I think I want to say I finished in the top 15 in the country as a true freshman. A few behind Barry Sanders.
Ooh.
Go get the job done. I mean, these guys nowadays, oh, well, since I'm not getting any playing time, I'm gonna leave and go elsewhere. Oh well, the coach don't like me. Oh, the coach yelled at me. Get the
Yeah.
hell out of here, man.
Yeah. They're more highlight babies these days than anything.
Exactly.
So you basically were a Seminole, and that's my squad. But I
Mhm,
loved watching you guys play. And
mhm.
take us through the origin or the genesis and the beginning of the U, or what we know it now as the U. What do you think your class was responsible for bringing the brand of the U to the national stage?
Well, we were part of it. We were. I mean, you got to give. So the University of Miami. even still kind of today, if you think of a a football type of mafia, you always pay homage to the people who came before you.
Mhm.
So before me, before Mike Irvin, you had Eddie Brown, you had Stanley Shakespeare,
Hmm.
you had Bernie Kosar, you
Mhm.
had
Oh yeah.
Jim Kelly, you
Mhm.
had Speedy Neal,
You had Mark
you
Richt,
had
didn't you? Yeah.
huh?
Mark Richt was there with you guys before
Yeah, well,
that.
he was a backup quarterback. He
Yeah.
didn't even see the fields. But so you had all these guys. So you didn't want to let these guys down. So we took it to another level, I will say. But it was like, if you see guys on the sideline, you see, like, I'll give you a story. I got a lot of stories. So
Please do.
so the
Yep.
first day when when you're on scholarship, when you're first day of practice, one of the first things you do is what? You run the 40, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So that year, Alonzo Highsmith, Jerome Brown, all these guys, they were
Rest
holding
his
out.
soul. Rest his
Yeah,
soul.
right. They were holding out. And Vinny Testaverde. And these guys, they were out there watching us, the freshmen coming in running 40. And so put a pin in that story right there. Let me tell you a quick one.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know that I was one of the first individuals that Alonzo Highsmith met when he came down from Canada. Alonzo Highsmith used to live in front of my parents' house. So we used to play basketball. I was I was a legit, junior high school,
So
middle
he's from
school.
Canada.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
from. Well, he's not from. I want to say he's from Canada. Yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
uh, he's not from South Florida. I'll tell you that right now.
okay.
And when he came down, he was living with a guy by the name Coach Lewis, who was the head coach of Columbus, because him and another guy came down and they were trying out for Columbus football team, and they stayed with Coach Lewis for a while, which lived right in front of my parents' house. But so we had a basketball goal, and Alonzo Highsmith, you'd come over late at night and late in the evening, and we used to play basketball. All right, so now let's go back to the story. So Alonzo Highsmith, Jerome Brown, all these guys standing out there. Jimmy Johnson um, asked Alonzo, "So who do you think my fastest freshman gonna be?" And Alonzo said, "Oh, that's gonna be Randall Hill." And Jimmy said something about somebody else maybe faster or whatever. And Alonzo's like, "That's Randall Hill. Trust me. I'm telling you it's Randall Hill." So Alonzo comes over to me, and I had some old beat up, high top, nasty uh uh cleats high top, literally high top cleats that I just like to wear. And I used to wear them in high school, and I just got used to them, and they were beat up. And Alonzo looked at me, he says, "Man, you gonna wear them damn things right there?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wear them." He says, "What you go?" He said, "I run a 4.3 or under." And he says, don't disappoint me, don't embarrass me." He says, "I'm already, you gotta, hey, represent. I'm already talking noise about you. Hey, you know what the deal is." I completely understand. Ran the 40. Alonzo was just walking away as I crossed the finish line. He didn't even look back. He yelled at Coach Johnson, "What's the time?" And Coach Johnson, "Yep, he's the one." But that even goes back to, like I said, I got a ton of stories. So we had the regional track meet. I'm a senior, high school. We had some guys like we had like 11, 12 guys from my high school team who went Division I football, and it was a group of us that ran track, and we were very, very, very tight. So regional track meet, we said, it was either regional or the GMAC track meet, and so you look up in the stand, you see Jerome Brown, you see Melvin Bratton, you see Brett Perriman, you see Tolbert Bain, you see all the who's who of Miami football back then. And I had already signed, of course, to go to the University of Miami. And I remember Tolbert Bain, Lonzo, all them guys came down and they're like, "Hey, um, how bad you gonna win this 220? 220 yards, not 200 meters. And by the way, put a pin in that. 220 yards is longer than 200 meters.
Yeah.
Do the math." So he asked me. I said no. I said all those guys, the legends. Like I said, Alonzo Highsmith, Jerome Brown, Brett Perriman, Michael Irvin, all them guys at the track meet. And they said, how much you gonna win the 220 by? I said, no, I'm gonna win the 220. They said, no, how much are you gonna win by? And I said, no, I'm gonna win the 220. And he said, no. They said, no, you don't understand. You signed to go to the University of Miami. You need to tell us how many yards you're gonna win by. You have to represent. You part of that mafia now. You part of that football University of Miami mafia now. You have to tell us how many yards you're gonna win by. So I said, give me 5 to 10 yards. I went by. And of course I won by that much. I didn't know back then they was betting on the races and nobody was taking any bets on the race unless they gave them yards. So I had to win by a certain amount of yards so they can get paid. We had a lot of fun. I mean, we had one of the highest graduation rates in the country back then. But that was the mystique and the air and the arrogance of the University of Miami.
Wow.
You know what? Like when we watch you, when I watch you play, I had my U. I had a white shirt with the U with the bird on it with the thing coming out of his mouth. I had a pullover.
The ibis.
I wanted to see what dance you were going to do when you scored. I wanted, because we wanted to do that out in the yard after you did it. Like, because you were one of the first people that we really saw dance. Where did that come from? How did you get that? How did that flare? How did you get that out?
Well, so I am last month I turned 54, right? You're talking to somebody who's never had anything alcohol before in their life, never drank, never smoked, nothing. I am really as square as they come. But that was and I don't dance. I do not dance. But that was my outlet. That was one of my releases. To be able to have fun on the field while the fans are cheering your name and while you're not just winning for your team and the school, but uplifting a community. If you think about it, back then there were a lot of things going on. You had the Miami River cop case where a lot of dead bodies being pulled out of the Miami River and a lot of transgressions dealing with that. You also had the Mario boat lift. You also had a lot of rioting, and it was just a lot of civil unrest. But everybody laid down all the nonsense on Saturday to come watch University of Miami play. So you know what? Give them a show, have fun, and fun is not just dancing and celebrating, but it's about winning, and winning with style points, and having the opposing team like, hey man, take it easy on us this game. Yeah, we're finna beat that ass, but just just take it, But that was the flair and the audacity of the University of Miami back then, and the dancing and the celebrating. The way you do that is you win games, stay out of trouble, have a high graduation rate, and have fun on the field.
Amen. So let's go over to the NFL for a little bit. You competed in the NFL's fastest man, and as long as I can remember, this particular quote that you said when you were competing, and I think the sideline reporter was it McGuire?
I don't remember who the reporter
he came
was.
to interview you, and you were already like in beast mode or something. And I think I remember the quote as being him saying something to you. He was already notorious for just giving players a hard time, but after you clapped back on him, he called you. He said, "Okay." I think the quote was, "Okay, Mr. Business," and you said something to him to the effect like, "Hey, man, I'm serious right now."
So NFL Fast Man competition. I competed in it twice. The second time I didn't take it that serious. The first time I took it very serious because my parents were there, and again, and I tell a lot of the young guys who were playing in high school or even college or the NFL, look, yeah, you're part of a team. It's bigger than you. However, you're representing your family.
Yeah.
Okay, you're representing your family. So Um, and it's funny, even in practice, in the NFL, correction, in college, when my dad was out there, my former roommate Robert Bailey is like, oh, his daddy, somebody gonna get done today, and that's just how it was because hey, I, your parents give you everything and they lay down a lot for you. So I think you need to, as young adults, as children who have parents, you need to represent them in a proper way.
Man.
So um, it was funny because you had legendary Willie Gault there, and Willie Gault was a gold medalist.
Mhm.
However, they picked Willie Gault to win, and they picked Will, and then they were interviewing Willie Gault, and I remember my dad walked by. And my dad came over to me and said, "Oh yeah, that guy over there." He says, "Who's that guy?" I said, "Oh, that's Willie Gault, gold medalist." I said, "He can run, Dad." He said, "Yeah, well, he's talking about how he has a better turnover ratio than you, and he's faster than you, and he shouldn't have any problem with you in this round." I said, "Oh, really? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah, okay." So I ain't had time for no interviews and all this nonsense. This was about winning and being respectful to my mom and my dad and representing South Florida because it was always us against the world in the first place.
okay.
So I remember coming out the blocks and the blocks slipped. I was like, damn. And I remember thinking this real fast. And see in track, okay, so you go to the science. Like I said, I could write a book. So in track and field, when you talk about the 100 meters, there's three evolutions to that race. You got the start, the middle, and you got the finish. In a 60, which this was a 55 meter, which so it's close to 60 yards, you don't have time to go through those evolutions. And there's a lot of different things dealing with. A lot of people don't know that you don't breathe. Most sprinters don't even breathe through 100 meters or 200 meters, and they've even actually done studies where a lot of sprinters don't even breathe doing 400 meters because your body shuts it off and something that you don't need. So those blocks slipped, and I was, you ain't got time to go through the evolution to start, middle, and finish. And so I had to make sure that I made up what I slipped on. And I won that race, and I lost the photo finish to Alexander Wright in the finals, but I still cashed that check for $15,000.
So I made a TikTok video a few months back about how I felt that the Canes have been getting overlooked and cheated since joining the ACC from the Big East. What are your thoughts on why they are not up to the standards of you guys?
Well, I don't think that they have been cheated. I think that if any game comes down to one play or two plays where you put the outcome in the referee's hand, then that's your fault as a player. That's your fault as a team. It's your fault as a coaching staff.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. Second, I think that they're on a better track right now under Mario Cristobal, but you got to understand, I do a lot of these podcasts and a lot of these, streams and stuff, and people always ask me about the recruiting class, and this is not. There's no knock on any one coach or previous coaches to Mario Cristobal, but you don't recruit I wouldn't be recruiting on a star system. I just wouldn't. It's nonsense. Sometimes you could pay for that stuff, pay for a star or two, and it's BS. If you look back historically, the University of Miami won games, won national championships off of recruiting individuals with the right attitude, with the right personality, guys who refuse to lose, guys who refuse to bend over. It's called the drum major instinct, the want, will, and or desire to be the best. So throw away the star system, go back to recruiting individuals with the right attitudes. The last time I checked, Russell Maryland wasn't a 5-star player. He was the first pick of the draft, though. Last time I checked, Warren Sapp was not a 5 or 6 or 10-star player, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
Man.
Last time I checked, Alonzo Highsmith, he didn't even play. He didn't even play running back or fullback. He played defensive line.
Mm.
But if you get the right guys who refuse to lose, who are hungry and willing to pay the price, that's when you'll see a consistent and a dramatic change in college football at the University of Miami, which I think they're in the right direction.
Well,
I think so, and I pray, but I was always, to me, I think they needed a a coach. Now I just seeing them just hire coordinators. Why can't they hire an elite coach like Saban or Kirby Smart?
Well, you got to understand this. Okay, Kirby Smart, Saban, which I can't stand. Um, and I have my personal reason why I can't stand Saban. Um, they don't call plays. They don't. Jimmy Johnson never called a play.
mm.
Um, but someone like a Jimmy Johnson, and I give credit where credit is due. Someone like a Nick Saban, um, Howard Schnellenberger was a little bit more hands on.
Mhm.
But these guys who I just named, okay, let's even go to the NFL to add to those guys. Someone like Bill Belichick.
Mhm.
These guys don't call no plays.
Right.
They're
Mm.
CEOs
Mhm.
of football teams, and a good CEO will hire the right people for the job to make those calls, to make those plays. As a CEO, you're the face of the franchise. You're the motivator. Sometimes you can get involved with the play calling, but for the most part, setting up those schedules in practice, whether it be 7-on-7, 1-on-1, how you're going to dissect a team offensively or defensively, that's done by the offensive coordinator. So it's not a Nick Saban type of thing. It's not a Mario Cristobal. It's who they're able to grab under that will work underneath them with their philosophy to get the job done.
Okay.
Now, when Miami was in their heyday, they were recruiting Dade County. They didn't have to go out of South Florida to get that dynasty. Are they
Well,
still really recruiting in that area heavily like they did back when you played?
yeah, they still recruit in the area heavily, but it's a little bit different now because you got NIL deals, you got guys wanting to travel, you got social media, you got back then we didn't really care about our facilities, you got these young kids, oh, I want to have cushions on my locker, man, get the hell out of here, all this nonsense. But it's you know it's a different mentality. These young adults now are they think differently, and you have to change with the times. Um, but Miami back then, it wasn't just we got the players we wanted from South Florida and Florida, but it was also there was three segments to Miami football when I played. You had a group from Texas
Mm.
that was a core group. You had a group from Florida, of course, that was a core group, and then you had a small group from New Jersey, believe it or not, that was a pretty good group. Danny Stubbs and those guys.
Okay.
Um, you know, uh, Greg Mark, those guys from the Northeast. And
Wow.
then you had one or two guys from Chicago. Look at Russell Maryland. So yeah, you get your skill position guys from Florida and Texas. If I was a head coach, get them from Florida,
Right.
Texas. You get skill. I mean, because Florida and Texas, by far, you give me the skill position guys from out of Florida and or Texas, I kick your ass. I'm telling you that right
Hold
now.
on. Hold on, Randall.
I'm
Hey,
telling you.
Ohio got some ball players, baby.
No. Listen, let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you. You look at most of the guys in the NFL with skill position, it's Florida, Texas. And there's no knock on Ohio, but what it is it's okay. Let me ask you this question. And this is real talk. Let's have a conversation here. How many guys in Ohio chase or used to chase and run down rabbits for their food.
You got us on that one.
That's real talk. So that's what they do out in Belgrade, man. Man, them cats, Ricky Waters and what's the guy from played in New Orleans for a long time? Uh, he played linebacker in New Orleans, and
Sam
also
Mills.
Jonathan Vilma.
yeah, those guys, man. Yeah, them guys, and also Louis Oliver, and man, them cats literally go into the fields and chase rabbits to eat. You running down rabbits to eat with a stick. You because if you get a rabbit in the open field, stay behind them. They got small hearts, and then they'll have a heart attack.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna get that nowhere else, dude. Man,
Yeah.
Florida's just built different. It's
Yeah.
just built.
I,
I'll give you another story. Like I
Okay.
said, I got plenty of them. There was a guy by the name of Tom Moore. Look him up.
Okay.
Tom Moore, in his heyday, he actually had two separate heydays, two separate years that were the twilight of his career. One was I want to say he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers with Lynn Stahl with Swan Stalwart, Roger
Okay.
Staubach. The other one was with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning going up there calling this, calling that. He was their offensive coordinator / quarterback coach, but he was the running back coach in New Orleans. They didn't give him as much authority as they should have. I just sat on the bus and talked to this guy. I said, Coach, he had an old scratchy voice. He had white hair, heavyset dude. I said, hey, Coach. I said, man, what are your thoughts on just football in general? And he looked at me and he says, he had an old scratchy voice. He said, Randall, I'll tell you something. He says, you give me skill position out of Texas and Florida, I'll kick anybody's ass. And I said, sir, why? I said, why do you say that? He says, because y'all just think differently. Y'all different, man.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Ohio or even California,
Yeah.
But it's just, and then the other thing is, Florida and Texas, that training is year round because of the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it is. But you ask, hell, you could. I tell you what, I haven't even looked. I have not looked. Do me a favor when y'all get a chance and y'all send me a text message.
Okay.
Go look at the NFL where players are from, skill position. The majority are going to be from Florida, Texas. They're going to be from the South. Now you're going to find some linebackers, maybe some tight ends, maybe some of the interior from Ohio, Pittsburgh. Y'all, all that cornbread. But skill position, no sir. You ain't gonna beat you're not gonna beat Florida or Texas on that one. I mean,
I agree. I think that Miami, y'all water down there, y'all run faster than anybody on the planet. I don't know what the hell y'all got going on down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
So this is a question I should be allowing you and Jody to go through. So and it's gonna I'm gonna boomerang it back to when you played. So the last time the Hurricanes were in the championship against the Buckeyes, yet they were on the brink of repeating again. They were on the brink of repeating that a national championship. You think they got robbed out of that game or what? And before you look at
it, you want to hear the truth?
I do.
Okay. No, I don't. And the reason why is all right. Let's talk about two different games. We'll talk about that one, but let's go to 1988. I should have walked away. I walked away with 2 rings. I should have walked away with 3. Okay. There was a bad call. They said that Cleveland Gary fumbled at Notre Dame, which cost us a national championship. Okay. That a lot of people say that was a bad call, and let's just for argument's sake, let's just say that was a bad call. Most people would agree that it was. It was the flag was thrown very late. However, I made a statement to you guys earlier. If you allow a game to be put in a referee's hands, and you haven't blown that opponent out, that's not the referee's fault. That's your fault. And your fault as a player. You have to be super critical of yourself. That's why I say it the ref. That's why I'm trying to say the game wasn't necessarily stolen, because the game shouldn't have been close anyway.
No.
The game should not have been close anyway. You should be playing hard every play and not leave the game in the referee's hand. Those are facts.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree on that, but I just, when I just sometimes I think the powers that be was working against Miami,
Don't
even when
don't you
in
do
your
that.
era,
Don't
even
you
in
do
your
that.
era, yeah.
Well, think
e-
about it. Think about it. How many how many misassignments were there? How
There were
many?
quite there were a few.
Okay, how many drop balls were there?
There were
How
a
many?
lot.
So it's if those balls are not dropped, if those are not misassignments, okay, then the University of Miami wins and they win handily. You
Mhm.
cannot put the. I'm just not. Okay, true story. Here we go. So again, just like I told y'all, don't tell me about the pain, just deliver the baby. I remember one time there was a guy on the field. He got hurt. His leg was broken. Um, and it was a compound fracture. Coach said, "Hey, move the ball up 10. We got Florida State this weekend." I don't want to hear all that, dude. Get the job done. I'm just different. I'm built different, dude. I don't want to hear it. If I don't need to hear about, oh well, um he was holding me, or they should have called pass interference, or I'm just not that guy. I'm a no nonsense type of guy. And maybe that's not why I'm a coach right now, because I wouldn't want to hear all the excuses, and I don't have time for excuses.
Rightfully so. Rightfully
Well,
so.
you was the 23rd pick of the NFL draft, and
Hmm.
you went to the Miami Dolphins, which would look
Hmm.
like it would have been a match made in heaven right there. You
Hmm.
didn't have to travel anywhere. Why did you only play one game with the Miami Dolphins?
Because I got traded. I
Really?
was, yeah, I got traded to Arizona. They
Yeah.
traded me to
Yeah.
Arizona for a first round draft pick.
Okay. Take us through that a little bit. And what was the decision just so early in your career?
Well, so what happened was, so I'm gonna give you the story behind the story. So at that particular point, first of all, they drafted me to start considering replacing either Clayton or Duper. Don't forget, they had Clayton Duper, they had Tony Martin, they had uh,
Jim Jensen.
Jim Jensen. They had some weapons.
Yeah.
So from my understanding, Mark Clayton was supposed to have surgery,
Mhm.
Mhm.
um, but he ended up because of a nagging injury. But ended up not having surgery. And that very first game we played against Buffalo, man, that dude had over 200 yards receiving.
Mm.
And so what Shula did. So here's the politics. What Shula did was, back then we had five preseason games, because they had four regular preseason games, and then they went to Japan, made five. I played in four preseason games, but they made the excuse and they pushed it out to the media that, oh well, he held out. I didn't hold out. I didn't, I missed one preseason game, but I played in four preseason games. And but what happened was Clayton had over 200 yards receiving, plus he wasn't going to have surgery. So they didn't need
Mm.
me. So they
No.
traded me to Arizona. They traded me for a first round draft pick and $1 million. Okay, so I was out in Arizona, no man's land.
Wow.
Back then, it is what it is. It's a business.
Yeah.
You use me, I'll use you.
Okay. So
Very.
to me, I mean, Arizona was labeled back then, even back then, by us casuals, where
Hmm.
careers go to die. But you went
Hmm.
over there and thrived.
I did
It got
Yeah.
a
okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
did okay. I did
yeah.
okay. I was dealing with. You never hear me say this, and I'm not gonna get into too much of this, but I was dealing with one. I'm not gonna say what position he coached or what he. Very, very, very racist coach. Very racist coach.
Mm.
Okay.
Now here, I'll say this: that same coach coached in several other places, and one place that coach coached in was Atlanta. And I told people back then, and don't take my word for it. Go look at the Go look at the highlights. Go look at the stats. Go look at the history. There was a guy who Atlanta had drafted by the name of Michael Vick.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I told some of my colleagues, I told some of my friends, I said, Michael Vick will not see the field until that coach is gone. I guarantee you.
Mhm.
And he did not see starting a job until he was gone. That same coach
Mm.
was in with the Tennessee Titans, where McNair was, right?
Okay.
I told people, I said, hey, McNair won't see the field as a starter until that guy's gone. Go back and look.
Yeah, but I think we know who you're talking about, but we'll keep it under wraps just for those just for those purposes. So
hmm
so your relationship with Jimmy Johnson, what's it like these days?
Well,
And what was it like then?
it was good because I was one of Jimmy's guys, and Jimmy Jimmy is, if you have loyalty to him, he has loyalty to you. If you He expects you to go to school. If you didn't go to class, if you didn't sit to the front, if you did not sit at the front of the class, if you wore any University of Miami orange and green, you got in trouble. And sometimes he would take your scholarship.
Ooh,
Oh yeah, we didn't play around. Jimmy didn't
ooh.
play. That's why I said we had one of the highest graduation rates in the country. He was sending coaches to the class to make sure that we were in class, and the professors did not like us. So we had to grind. We grind on the field. We grind off the field. And with Jimmy, a lot. See, I'm gonna tell you, and then I'm gonna give y'all about 10 more minutes. Then I gotta go.
Okay.
But um, so there was a guy who played at the University of Miami by the name of Rodney Hill. That's my brother.
We know Rodney.
Mm.
Okay. So my brother was at the University of Miami. He was on the team who went and played in the Fiesta Bowl with the fatigues.
Mhm.
My brother did not do what
Okay.
he did not do what he was supposed to do, and Jimmy Johnson ended up taking his scholarship from him. The day Jimmy Johnson took his scholarship from him, Jimmy gives me a call at my house, my parents' house, and hey, listen, your brother didn't do what he's supposed to do. We're taking a scholarship. Is that going to interfere with your commitment to the University of Miami? No, sir. He has this deal. I have my deal. I'm still coming to the University of Miami. And ever since then, I was still good to go with Jimmy Johnson because he knew I came from a good family, stayed out of trouble. And I was there to go to school first and then play football second. So he was good with me. Never had a problem with
Okay.
Jimmy. Jimmy's just that type of guy.
Okay. So we want to go over some of your highlights because you said you got 10 minutes left.
hmm
So take us through the was it the 3rd and 43 at Notre Dame? What was that the best play of your college career or what?
Um, it would be. I'm not gonna say it's the best play. The best play against one of the nicest plays that showed my speed, showed my athletic ability was a catch I made against Alabama, where I darted in and out of traffic and gained about 40 or 50 yards, outrunning everyone. That was just a play of attitude, arrogance, and audacity, and showing that drum major instinct, want, will, and or desire to be the best. You're not gonna come into the 305 and and after dealing with the bad call against the referee the year before, and think that we're not going to convert on third and half of the field. You're in 305. My parents understand. It's national TV. It's prime time. You know, it's time to shine. You talking about Miami Vice. You talking about hurricanes of old, the ghosts of hurricanes past. You're talking about having fun. You talking about styling and profiling. Yeah, that's one of those things that that well, that's one of those events in life where either you're going to be a goat, no, goat as in like not greatest of all time, but like goat, like bad in a bad sense, or you're going to be a hero. And even to this day, and it's funny that you just brought that up, because I just sent Pat Terrell and Smagala, who were on the Notre Dame team. I just sent them a note. I told them we all need to get together one day. But it's just being mad, being angry. You got to understand, even in the huddle, we would argue sometimes. We have a little quick riots in the huddle. Quarterback job was just to keep us calm because receivers having the attitudes that we had, and pushing things to limit. So that was just one of those events where you're not going to disrespect South Florida, and we're gonna represent South Florida the way that we can, and the way that we should, and the way that we will.
Amen.
I
Y'all
know,
guys
I
were
know you.
tough.
This
Go ahead.
part, this is my last one. I know you got to go, but I got to know this.
No, go ahead.
Like,
I have a few more.
Okay.
what's the relationship with Uncle Luke, and were y'all more popular than the Miami Dolphins?
We were more popular than Miami Dolphins. Luke was very close with the University of Miami back then. I was a little bit different, and anybody you talk to anybody, I'm just different. I didn't really hang out. You're not gonna see me at the clubs. I don't drink. I really haven't. Some of the guys still tease me to this day. I'm just not one of those guys. I spend a lot of time at home. Um, Whenever I had a chance to go spend time with my parents, I would. I go to the movies or whatever, but I'm still that type of guy. I don't, because of what I mean. Like, look at the life I do now. I'm a federal agent, so I don't. I'm just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Oh, I caught you by surprise, huh?
Yeah. No, I knew that.
Yeah, I'm a federal agent, man.
Yeah,
So
I knew that.
I'm a little bit different, man. I'm not the stereotypical um, athlete. Um, Sports was like, again, it wasn't. So going to college, you hear a lot of these guys talk about going to college and graduating. Is the backup plan. No, that is the plan. The backup plan, and the additional is playing sports and making money. But the plan is to go to school, graduate, and I'll be. I just turned 54. I got 2 more years, bro, and I'll have two pensions, two 401ks, and I won't have to work anymore the rest of my life.
You live in the African American
Oh,
dream, baby. So,
yes, yes.
a couple more questions, man.
Sure.
We want to have you back, man, because we have so much. You are the most insightful guest that we've had to this point. You and there's a lot of them we have a lot of Seminole guys on, but we just want to get some more of you guys on, some more
Okay.
of you Hurricane guys on, so we can talk more football. So,
Okay.
you're you guys are a strong brotherhood at Miami.
Hmm.
I mean, is it safe to say that?
Oh
So,
yeah.
uh, when how did you react to the news when your little brother Sean Taylor was taken away from us?
It's sad. It's unfortunate. Those are the trials of life.
Mm.
Um, you make mental note of it, and you keep moving forward. As my dad always says, son, you have to go on. You have to move forward. You have to keep living. And I learned that at an early age. My same brother who I talked about was at the University of Miami. He died at the age of 36, sudden heart attack.
Mm.
And my dad, he was very stoic. Son, you got to move forward. You can't stop here. We have to keep going. And so Sean Taylor's death was tragic, and it's unfortunate and it's sad. However, make a mental note of it. You pray for the family, do what you can for the family, and you keep moving forward.
Amen. So we'll ask you one more question.
Mhm.
So we know you were fast. I've seen your 40 times at the combine, and then you did a private workout for the Dolphins, a 4.3440. Am I right?
No, you're wrong.
Oh, oh.
That was the first one, but you got to the private workout and you got faster, a 4.29. So
Yeah,
What?
yeah. I ran a
yeah,
4:29. Yeah. So
yeah.
so
So
I had a couple of private workouts. At three. I could think of one for the Chargers, one for Detroit, and one for Miami. So for Wayne Fonts, I ran a 4:29. And I ran it twice. I ran a 4:29 and a 4.31. Those were handheld. I forgot Dolphins. It was 4.3. Everyone in the 4.4, 4.38. Child, please. Mm-mm. No.
hey,
No, no,
so
no, no, no.
my fastest 40 time, and it's recorded. Randall, I would have gave you some work. 4.37. I
Okay,
was a 4.37 in
that's
high
cute.
school.
That's cute. But and
Hey,
you like when you're running against someone, it's a whole different game. I mean, as
Yeah,
opposed
it
to running.
is.
And I didn't believe in losing races. I just
See,
but yeah,
see,
that was that
Randall,
was that was cute.
I played basketball. We didn't run 40. I played college basketball in Northern Kentucky. We shot ball.
Let me tell you something about basketball. So in the off season, we would play a lot of basketball in our indoor gym by the practice facility, and the only way you could play is they would hand you the ball. If you couldn't dunk, you couldn't play. So you had guys like Warren Sapp, Russell Maryland. I mean, everybody played above Cortez Kennedy. Everybody played above the rim. It was just so
Gotcha.
interesting, man. You just had athletes, and like I remember when I first went out there to play basketball. 'Cause I played a little bit in high school before I said, let me just go run track. And they handed me. I remember Tobin Bain threw me the ball. He says, "Hill, if you can't dunk, you can't play." Man, give me the damn ball, man. So we all played above the rim. We had a lot of fun though.
That's awesome.
That's
So,
dope, man.
so your speed was blazing. We'll give you that because you are great. So Dion and
hmm
you side by side, who wins that race?
Well, Dion's gonna say he's gonna win the race. I'm gonna say I'm gonna win the race, but I'll tell you this: Dion is one of the best to ever play the game. One of the best. Now, my very first game as a starter at the University of Miami, true sophomore. Dion was a senior. Go back and look. I led the team in receiving, led the University of Miami receiving with Dion as my shadow. I had 88 yards. Moved the time up to when I was with the Cardinals. My second year in the league, he was with the Falcons. Had
Mm.
100 yards in the first half. He was my shadow. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh,
Well,
I
I'm
will
gonna
never
ask you
take
one
away.
more.
I will never take away the greatness of Deion Sanders. I will not.
Amen. Yeah,
Deion is one of the best to ever play the game. He
he
was a, he was
is.
he was
He
not
is.
only was he good, but he was also a technician.
Yeah.
Um, and listen, he's probably the best corner to ever play the game. But
I, I'll agree.
every dog has their day though.
Yeah.
And just to nudge Deion Sanders just a little bit, because he's also becoming a great coach. Did you know that he never won a game against the University of Miami?
never,
Never.
Old guy.
Oh, I said we
never.
lost. Yeah,
So
yeah. He
I'm a
never won a
Seminole
game.
guy. I do know that. He never won
Mm-hmm.
against you guys.
Nope.
Uh so we like to play our own version of Mount Rushmore over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who Mount Rushmore of Miami Hurricanes? The best four that ever played in your opinion.
Best four to ever play. One is going to be Jerome Brown.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now we talking about at the University of Miami or what they went on to do in the
We're
pros.
talking about at the University of
Okay.
Miami.
All right. I'm going with Jerome Brown.
Okay.
Number one. I'm going with. I'm gonna spread the wealth a little bit. I'm gonna go with McGahee.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Good choice.
I'm also gonna go with I'll go with um it's a toss up between Jim Kelly and Kozar.
Oh,
Okay.
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 Kozar is a smart dude, man. He graduated as a true sophomore from college, man.
Oh, yeah, Kozar's a bad boy.
Yeah. And then I don't know.
Go and put yourself in there, Randall. Go and put
No,
yourself in there.
absolutely not. I'm keeping it real. So I'm gonna go with either. So he wasn't as flamboyant, but you're gonna have to throw. Um. Oh, my bad. Ed Reed.
Okay.
Henry.
Okay. Okay.
What?
So Sean Taylor will be on your outside looking in, or
He might be on my outside looking in. Sean Taylor was a bad. It's hard to do at the University of Miami. Sean Taylor's a bad boy. Warren Sapp. I ain't even mentioned his name.
yeah.
Warren Sapp was a bad boy. Um, I ain't even talk about Vinny Testaverde. He's a bad
Yeah.
boy. Stanley Shakespeare's a bad boy. Um, um, Russell Maryland, have all sorts of
Russell
honors at
Maryland.
the University of Miami. Benny Blaze, Outland
Ooh.
Trophy winner. I mean, man, that list goes on and on. Of course, Irvin. That list goes on and on and on. And I mean, I think it would be a travesty if anybody who asked that question wouldn't say, "Hey, give me your top 10
Yeah,
of Mount
I
Rushmore at
still
the
think
University of
that'd be an
Miami."
What?
embarrassment of riches because I mean, you got guys like guys like Horace Copeland and all of these guys that can.
Man,
He
yeah,
was
it goes
plastic.
on and on. Yeah, it
Yeah,
goes on and on.
yeah,
I
man.
mean,
So
yeah, you also got to put a couple of coaches in there. I mean, Joe Brodsky. Joe Brodsky was a running back coach. He's the only coach that I know of who had a high school championship, a world championship, and a national championship. He was a running
wow,
backs coach. That's Joe Brodsky. Then you got, of course, Jimmy Johnson, Howard Schnellenberger.
that,
Yeah.
that Stellenberger's my guy. I love
Dennis
Yeah,
Stellen.
Erickson.
Erickson was good. Erickson was good. But
Walsh.
I no, you talking about Erickson the coach or Erickson the quarterback?
The coach. The coach.
Like I said, he was good. He walked into he walked into a candy store though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Coker
Yeah.
too. Coker too.
But
So
you know what? I was at the Hall of Fame this past year, and I was able to talk with the one that said he was the best of all time at Miami. His name is Mr. Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis. See, dude,
Yeah,
how could I disrespect Ray Lewis?
yeah,
How could I
yeah,
disrespect Ray Lewis? But not even mention his name. Like I said, man, that list goes on and on and on and on. You got some good guys who have played the game, and I mean, we're in the Hall of Fame. Oh, here I'm gonna say one who a lot of people are lobbying for now to be in the NFL Hall of Fame. What happened to Devin Hester?
he does.
Ooh,
He deserves it. I mean,
Hey,
are you
Reggie
kidding? He
Wayne.
deserves it.
dude, it goes on and on. I mean, I'm not even gonna disrespect these guys, man. And there's no way in the hell I would put my name in a group of guys like that.
Randall, you know good and dang well, so, people that are gonna watch this video are gonna say, "Yeah, you deserve to be in that Mount
Nah,
Rushmore." People are
no,
gonna say
no,
that.
no, no,
Because
because
you
it
was
is
a
what. Listen,
pioneer.
the reason why they would say that is because of some of my antics. As far as being a tactician, yeah, I made some big plays. I had fun, but route running, um, being I'm a student of the game, but being a more of a student or professor of the game, there are other guys who are more deserving. I call it the way I see it.
Okay,
You,
okay.
you was a
So
pioneer, though. I mean, you can't take it away from you. You
yeah,
was
I
a
had
pioneer,
fun.
no doubt.
we got to have you back, man.
Okay.
We
Yes.
need to have you back. Is it cool? Just name a day when you could come back because I wrote down like five sheets of paper because it was so much I seen, bro. And I was so honored when you took the call and said, "Yeah, you'll do it, man." So we want to
Right.
thank you for stopping by, man,
Yeah, not a
and
problem, bro.
please come by again, man.
Just give me a call. You got my number.
All right,
Okay.
bro. Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
stopping by, man.
All right,
Pleasure.
bro. Y'all be good.
Pleasure.
All right,
Pleasure.
thank you, bro.
Yes.
Yo.
Yes, sir.
That
Hey,
was the great
once
Randall
again,
Hill.
everybody, that was Mr. Randall Thrill Hill of the U, and a guy that's very humble, but he was one of the pioneers of that Miami Surgeons, because everybody knows the story that Miami was about to go under in the beginning of the 80s, and they got recruiting classes like his recruiting class that made them what they are today, man. So he can be as humble as he wants. He should be on those lists too.
Yeah. He was aggressively humble. Put it that way. He was aggressively humble. I seen him wanting to be, wanting not to be as humble as he felt he should have been. But I grew up watching Randall play, and the
Me
dude
too.
was a
Me too.
problem every game against Florida State, every game against Notre Dame, when they were independent, they destroyed teams every year.
Yeah.
And I respect his opinion, but the Hurricanes were robbed out of at least 4 national championships.
Right.
And that was NCAA didn't want them to be the face of college football. So
Not at all.
I respect what he says, but I see what I see.
Hey, listen, man. I had so many questions to ask him. I can't wait till we come back. And it's just been so much fun. Everybody listening, man. This is the All Pro Podcast, man. And we have nothing but guys from yesteryear. We're gonna have some new guys. I mean, it's just so much fun to come and listen to us. If y'all want to be a part of this, you know, hit us in the inbox on TikTok and any social media outlet that you will see this on.
Yeah, we're streaming on all platforms. So that's YouTube, RSS, Spotify, and we're working on getting you up on iHeart, and we'll be creating shorts for TikTok here lately. And I'll go ahead and leave that up to you, bro. So I'll just go ahead and start sending you the videos, and we'll go from there with it. All right, bro. We're signing out again. All Pro.
All Pro Podcast. It's your host, Jody Coleman. Hey, we got Stacy the Show. That's what I'm named. Stacy the Show Smith.
That's right.
In the building. Check us out. We got some more coming for y'all, man. Hey, make sure y'all check us out, man.
All right.